Welcome back to Double Dipping. I'm here at Homeslice in the city to sit down with my wonderful friend Mark Wogan to find out all about pizza, biohacking, and whether he likes a double dip. Mark Wogan.
Hello.
We are back in the exact spot that we met in 5 years ago to the month. It was February 2020.
Oh, you trying to make an old man feel older?
This is now quite reflective for us because
looking back,
we've kind of literally gone through every possible motion that life could give a human being in 5 years. And now here we are. How are you?
I'm all right. Well, I'm still here. I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. I still have some restaurants, not as many as I had.
That's all right.
Because since then, we've had COVID. Did we have Brexit as well?
I think we were dealing with the aftermath of that.
The aftermath of Brexit. We've had COVID. We've had not coming back, bouncing back from COVID, how we all thought. You've had a child.
Yeah.
You've become a parent. I become the parent of a teenager.
That's probably a bigger thing.
Yeah. Well, no, he was kind of cusp of teenager.
Yeah.
He's now 18.
Yeah.
And very assured of his own position in life.
I love that for him.
No, he's good.
Yeah.
He's good, but it can be challenging.
So obviously this is Double Dipping, where I bring back some of my sort of favourite guests over the series. I need to ask you, what's your thoughts on double dipping?
You can do it with people that you are perhaps intimately linked with.
Yeah.
But if you are in company, should I say, if you are going to double dip, turn it around.
Okay, nice.
Don't dip the bitten end in. That's just wrong.
Yeah.
Or get enough on it the first time. But
be strategic about it.
Be strategic. It's just like, but that thing of, it's like, oh my God, what is wrong with you?
You see it at parties, and I'm just like,
wrong with
are
people?
you okay?
No, you
just ruined it for everyone else.
You might be educationally subnormal.
Oh my gosh.
This is what we do.
This is where I would definitely want to be interrupted. Oh gosh.
So look at half margarita, half 4 cheese. Thank you, Antonio. It's beautiful.
And I'm going to declare it now. This is the best 4 cheese pizza on the market.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but obviously I can't say that.
Just explain the 4 cheese, because
so that is all British cheeses that we work in conjunction with Neal's Yard Dairy on, and that changes seasonally. And then it has a jalapeno salsa, which we would roast the jalapenos in the oven and then make the salsa with that. And then we fry some rye crumb in butter, and that goes over the top. So look, it's not what you would describe as a calorie counter's dream, but
are we putting this on MyFitnessPal? Probably not.
That you can.
Can you?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
So 2 slices of that, like proper big slices of that, have less calories in them if you are going down the calorie counting route than, say, a Vitality salad from a very well-known high street chain, which is supposed to be good for you.
Well, I cannot believe it.
Well, like a slice about that big. One of our standard
produce, right?
Yeah.
Good tomatoes, good cheese.
Not too much cheese.
Yeah.
Don't overdo it.
So there we go.
We're not making savoury cake.
No.
We're making pizza.
Yeah.
There we go.
Perfect.
A moment for me was I'm staying in a friend's flat because I don't have a place in London anymore, and I opened up Deliveroo, and one of our sites was in that catchment area. We came up 15. And there was a load of pizza brands that I'd never heard of on there.
Yeah.
And when we started all those years ago, and there was Pizza Pilgrims, and Frank and Manca was over in Brixton, and so it has changed a lot. And some good people have come into the market, and some not very good ones have come in as well. So that it is a different marketplace as far as that's concerned. So look at that. I got bloody pizza on me white trousers now. But anyway, there you go.
Serves you right.
Serves you right for wearing white trousers.
But I think also as well, and I've maintained this about Homeslice, is that, you've kind of got a bit of a USP as well. You're doing the 20-inch pizzas.
Yep.
There aren't actually many others on the market that have copied you.
No. I tell you who is good is Breadstall, which has just
Oh,
opened.
yeah, I need to try them.
Yeah, Breadstall is good.
Because they're selling by the slice, aren't
they're
they?
selling by the slice, and
Yeah.
they're doing a 20-inch pizza as well.
Oh, they are doing it.
But they're good. They're good.
Okay.
And Seb, who runs it, is a lovely guy, and deserves to be successful at what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, and that is what's very different about the industry. When I started in it years and years ago, back, as I say, Burger King was still a prince. It was that long ago. But you'd be over here cooking, and they'd be like, "No, I'm not going to show you what I'm doing."
Yeah.
And it's very much changed. It's like, come do that. It's like, we know. I'm just sponging.
He's just sponging his crotch.
Well, no,
super quickly.
look, this could ruin my whole day. I know, I've got
I should have bought my little. I've got
four cheese. I've got 4 cheese oil, exactly where it's going to look like I might have lost control of myself.
Darling, so how old did you say you were?
I know. It's got to that stage. Can't control it anymore.
Actually, interestingly, talking about the idea that sort of 2 slices, are not going to sort of kill you, so to speak.
No, they won't.
And I mentioned this a second ago. When I did see you 5 years ago, you were doing this Fit as 50.
Yeah.
You were on a major sort of overhaul of your life. You went down to, what was it?
I got down to
8% or so, 4% or
6. Exactly, it was 6.7% body fat, which means when you are 50, you look phenomenal naked. But when you have clothes on, people think you're dying. And they come up to you and go,
"Are you okay?"
They're like, "I'm fine. I'm in the best shape of my life." So
listen, that is such a huge achievement, and also, like, not to say that 50 is old, which it isn't, but like at that age to commit to something like that, that's a whole life change.
Yeah, it did drive Susan mad.
Yeah, I can imagine.
She's like, "God, can you stop weighing everything you eat? It's got to be precise." Because I like a challenge.
Yeah.
Underneath this gentle, lovely exterior is a deeply competitive, focused individual.
Okay.
And I think that's the same for anybody. And if you don't admit that, it's like, what? No, I'd quite like to come second. No, last. I'm happy with that.
No.
No, I want
it's the participation that counts.
Oh,
what a load of.
It isn't. It's winning
exactly.
that counts.
I want you to win, and that's it.
But at the same time, it's I've learned bugger all from winning anything. I've learned everything from losing.
Yeah.
And I've lost loads and loads of times. And
that is where you learn, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Through failure, through
absolutely. I mean, I like Elizabeth Day's podcast, How to Fail. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, isn't it? As we sort of moved and changed as a society, and we have a lot in the last few years, women are ahead of the curve in terms of owning stuff.
Mm.
Men are still having a lot of trouble owning weakness and failure and having those discussions. And I think they should more and more, because it's not a weakness.
Yeah.
And so many times, I mean, because obviously during that period as well, I've started doing my podcast.
Yeah, which I want to ask you about.
Spooning with Mark Wogan.
I love the name.
Came about from, I don't think there's such a thing as a bad ingredient. So outside of a religious belief, an allergy, and in some cases a phobia, had a couple of those, you've just had it cooked badly for you.
Yeah.
So if I can cook it right for you, or we work a lot with Jamie Shears at the Mount Street restaurant as well. He does some fantastic dishes for us when we're hosting there. But on the whole, we've got about an 85% strike rate in terms of changing people's opinions. But weirdly, what you find is,
change my opinion on mushrooms.
Yes, absolutely, I could. Just saying. But the thing with it is we have about an 85% strike rate with changing people's opinions. But
pretty good.
But it is the people who are slightly more, how should I put this, difficult about their food, who weirdly have the more open someone is to food, the less likely they are to be upset by the ingredient that you serve them, which is obvious. But
Can you give me an example?
well, so, say for example, so the lovely Gabby Roslin,
Yeah,
right,
love her.
who has quite a long list of things she doesn't eat, right,
Okay.
for various reasons. But she has a very, very highly tuned palate as a result, because she's used to being on high alert, because if certain things that she eats, they will make her very unwell.
Fine. Okay.
And then you have the other end of the spectrum where, like, Nat and Nikki Appleton from All Saints came on, and it was so weird because they both filled out everybody before they come on fills out a questionnaire: food loves, food hates, all that kind of stuff, and their questionnaires were almost identical. And I was like, "Did you sit down and do this together?" And I was like, "They're like, no." And I was like, "That is so weird." But they both said they didn't like goat's cheese. Right? Didn't like goat's cheese. They didn't say they hated it,
Okay.
and they certainly didn't say that it would trigger some PTSD.
Oh no! Stop it.
So anyway, we did a lovely wild garlic soup with a goat's cheese croûte on the top.
Delicious.
Right? Nikki ate hers and he was like, I don't like it. Nat ate hers and had a meltdown. Like a proper meltdown. Like we had to stop filming.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was like,
What's the connection to their past with it? Were they
a bad date.
okay?
I mean,
But you know what? Actually, in a sort of bringing this into a bit of a philosophical chat, that's why I love food and the vehicle that it provides to be able to have these conversations.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
No, it's
The
fantastic.
nostalgia, good or bad.
Well, that's the great thing as well, because with Spooning, we kind of do a little potted history of that person. And, their food loves, their food hates, best childhood memories, guilty pleasures, all that kind of stuff. And and I think when you sit down with somebody and you give them some food, they're invariably more relaxed,
100%. How does it feel doing a bit of broadcasting? Because you also got the radio show as well.
Yeah, I'm doing some stuff for Virgin now, which is good fun. I mean, look, there was many years. I mean, years and years and years ago, I did some TV cookery in the 90s and sort of did a show on Channel 4 and stuff like that. But Dad was so famous then that, the comparisons were always being drawn. And that, there's that, going back to the man thing again, it's like every son wants to supersede their father, right? But when your dad is a national treasure, quite hard to do.
Yeah.
So you sort of go,
it's
right,
so interesting. It's interesting, that conversation, because when I was a photographer, it was the comparison of, oh, is she like her dad? Is she
is she any good?
But how
is she only doing this because of her dad?
And now it's all about nepotism, and it's.
Well, that's why I said I got interviewed prior to starting on Virgin, and they said, "Are you looking forward to starting?" I said, "Look, what I'm looking forward to is embracing my status as the world's oldest nepo baby."
Love it.
Because I mean, you either lean into it or not, because everyone's going to. Oh, he's not as good as his dad. No, I'm not.
What do you think? What do you think he would think of what you're doing?
In terms of radio, was anyone better than him?
No. I mean, no.
But I think that it's. So he led a very unique life.
Yeah.
But he also knew it was a unique life. And
what do you think he would have to say on what you're doing now?
If I was happy doing it, he wouldn't care. Yeah. And I am. Yeah. I really enjoy doing the podcast. And part of that whole thing of pivoting into that was, I think, off the back of this industry changing and thinking, all right, well, I need to look at some different stuff. We also, my brother and I and Alan, who's been my business partner since I stopped cooking professionally back in 2003, we've been partners in various things. Homeslice, and now with Neil Rankin, we've got Simplicity Foods, which we like to say we've taken a revolutionary approach to plant-based eating. which is a term we don't like, actually, to be fair, because I think it's been abused as a term.
Yeah.
Because it's got plants in it. Yeah, but what have you done with those plants before making them into that?
I can vouch that I've tried it and I really like it.
This is the interesting thing. So we use vegetables because it turns out that they are, in their purest form, they're plants.
Yeah.
And therefore, let's make it out of vegetables. So we ferment the vegetables, which changes the texture and the flavor and all sorts of things. And from that, we make a mince. And then it's anything you can kind of make a mince from. So it's obviously sausages and burgers and meatballs, but then we have all these flavored minces as well, and various things that we make from the mince. And that's going really well. I mean, we're sort of in over 1,000 restaurants. We served over 1 million portions of that last year.
In over 1,000 restaurants?
Yeah.
Gosh,
we'll hopefully go into retail this year.
Okay.
So simplicity with a Y, because you can't trademark a word, you've got to change it. You know?
Oh, no. There you go. You learn something
Well,
every
that's
day.
why we invented the word Homeslice. So we stuck 2 words together, which means we can trademark it.
Wow. I
So
did
that
not
didn't
know
exist as a word. So Homeslice, because it was home slice. And now it's Homeslice.
Okay.
And then we were able to trademark it. A lot of the stuff that we're looking at now is hybrid burgers and hybrid foods. So to reduce people's carbon emission and meat usage, you do a 50-50 mix.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And actually, it works really well in a burger, for example, because what that does is, because now you can't serve a burger rare.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got to cook the hell out of it. And that burger on its own becomes essentially like a sort of insole.
Yeah.
But when you mix it,
leather variety.
when you mix it with almonds, it retains a lot of its moisture, flavor, and texture.
There's a market for this meatless meat.
Yes, but
variety.
I think the problem with it is it's been abused.
I agree. And that's my point, is that, for a lot of people who have maybe stopped eating meat for health reasons, you're actually putting a load of chemicals that's made something to look and represent like meat. And my argument is I think you actually would have been healthier spending a bit more money
on them
from your local butchers or your farm or whatever, eating less than eating whatever that packaged thing was.
But that is the whole thing. It's like, so simplicity has no chemicals, no weird binding agents. We found natural ways of binding stuff together, which sort of separates us from anyone else in the market currently. I mean, I'm sure someone's going to kind of reverse engineer what we're doing at some point and try and do it cheaper. But we have spoken to a lot of the big supermarkets here and overseas. They've signed NDAs, they've looked at the product, and then they've come back to it and said, "Oh, can you make it?" So I remember when we first started doing it, which was essentially during lockdown, and we had one of the restaurants that was dark. That's where we started doing it, and we kept getting orders, and it was to, won't say the supermarket, but development kitchen. They were literally like ordering it direct in and sort of reverse engineering, and that might be one of the supermarkets we're going to go into.
We saw each other recently over pizza at your Harvey Nichols location.
Yes.
And we were talking about biohacking, which is kind of, I guess, sort of through your sort of, your fitness journey that you went on, you're kind of now really into this biohacking. And I'm really fascinated by this.
You're too young. You don't need to worry about that. What are you worried about?
Well,
it's when you get old, like me, you've got to worry about that.
Do you not think there's things that you should be maybe doing now at my age, in like your late 30s, just to kind of prevent?
I think what you definitely shouldn't be doing is injecting your face with stuff to make it look young. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here. That doesn't make you look younger.
Yeah.
It makes you look
agree.
confused.
No, I promise you I'm smiling.
Yeah.
I promise
I'm smiling. Are you sad? No. So,
no, I agree.
It's a massive industry, and it will carry on, and people are exponents of it, and some people get it done really well, but on the whole, it makes people look a little bit lost.
Yes.
And so the biohacking thing, I sort of got into that. It was something I started reading about during when we were all sitting on our, mind you, I didn't really sit on my bum.
No,
very
you were
long.
working pretty hard during
Yeah.
COVID. Sorry.
Carried on.
Yeah.
But it's something that is interesting. So it's about health span.
Yeah.
So that thing of, I kind of wasn't very kind to my body for about 50 years.
Mhm.
As you know, I'm now 32 years clean and sober.
Incredible.
So my teens and early 20s, I was a raving lunatic. And then I've eaten myself stupid, that whole thing of that whole thing about being overweight. So somebody goes to the gym, right? And they work out, they lift weights. They're not there going, why have my muscles got bigger? They know why.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So when there is someone who is overnourished going, I don't know why I can't lose weight, it's like, well, you don't stop eating.
Yeah.
And the stuff you're eating is really bad for
Yeah.
you. And look, I don't want to come across as holier than thou because I changed how I live or whatever, because I am still prone to, if you open a pack of hobnobs near me, I will finish it.
Hey,
Every time.
hobnob.
Hobnobs, quite like, have you those Lou biscuits that have got a bit of salt? The salt and butter Lou biscuits, they're very good.
Oh.
Cup of tea, you can do a pack
Okay.
of those. No, I mean, like,
Yeah. So would you
I'm
say
an
that
addict
it's
at
about
heart.
it's about extremes?
Yeah, I am a person of extremes, and
Yeah.
I always go, it's like I have to, if I'm approaching something, it's like I have to go, all right, where's the middle in this? Because I will go either end first and then go, all right, where's the middle?
Yeah.
And that's where I've got to with my health and fitness now. It's like, I got down to sort of 77 kilos and all that kind of stuff. And look,
Sorry, speaking of overnourished.
Here we go. Look,
Just got a second
this,
20-inch.
This is the simplicity.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Antonia. Another beautiful pizza. You're very good at this.
It is.
So this is well, you
What's
know
the
what?
base?
Do you know what? You're going to try this.
Okay, you're not going to tell me
I'm
what.
not going to tell you. You're going to try this.
Look at the way that glides across the dough.
Well, it's all about the application of pressure. Right, so try this. I think this is a fantastic combination. Try that.
I know it's got mushrooms in it.
Carry on.
I'm scared.
Don't be scared.
Is it going to be very mushroomy?
Just eat it. What have you got there?
Ooh.
You see? That pizza is completely vegan.
What?
Yeah. So that fennel sausage is made with simplicity mince, right? Do you know what we ferment? Mushrooms. You're eating mushrooms.
This is all vegan.
It's all vegan. So that is simplicity mince that we flavored to taste like Italian fennel sausage.
It's a beautiful sausage.
Right? And he's going to hate me for mentioning this, right? But Bryn Williams came in here with his team.
Yeah.
Sent this back quite angry because he said he had specifically ordered a vegan pizza.
Stop. Well, you know what? That's a sign that you've done what you needed to do.
No. Our work here is done. But that's the thing. It's like, again, to my point, it's what you do with that ingredient. So you don't like mushrooms. You know what you should do? And I'm going to give you the recipe for it. There is the most fantastic pickled mushroom recipe.
Okay.
And then you pickle it, and it changes the whole aspect of the mushroom and how you would use it.
Do you know what? Even if you hadn't have said anything about the vegan thing whilst I was eating this, I still would have just been like, oh, maybe it's a sausage with a bit of mushroom in it.
Yeah.
I would not have known. This is delicious.
And we use the Giulio and Bruno cheese, which I think
good,
is fantastic. And then that is literally just pureed spinach as the base.
It's absolutely. I'm not just saying it. You know me. I'd tell you.
No.
This is bloody delicious.
And it's mushrooms. There we go.
I think I'm speechless. So wait, okay, now that I'm eating vegan, so to go back to this biohacking thing.
Yeah, so there are two people I think write very interestingly on the subject. There is the slightly more controversial David Sinclair, Dr. David Sinclair, who kind of has been roasted on various platforms for some of the more controversial stuff he says, and his protocol is quite controversial. And then there is a guy called Dr. Peter Attia who wrote a book called Outlive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bit more accessible. And the first half of the book is quite depressing because it talks about, as he calls them, the 4 horsemen. So as you get to sort of my age, you are in Sniper's Alley, and well, you are, but so you can get taken out by heart, mind, all of these different things can. Now, the main key and the main tool, I think, in biohacking is not the protocols, is not all the kind of stuff that I do, which does make me feel like I've got some kind of agency in the whole thing, is testing.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to get tested regularly.
Yeah.
Just on the basic principle that if you arrive at the hospital with the problem, it's too late.
Yes.
If you take yourself to the hospital with the problem, modern medicine can probably cure it. And that's the thing. It's like, just get tested regularly.
Yeah.
And men don't, it's like they feel something funny down there and they're like, well, I'm just going to ignore it. Have your blood tests, have all of these things done. Your NHS doctor does provide all of these services now. Go and get them done.
Yeah.
And then you can live forever. You'll be like the Highlander. You'll have to chop your head off to die. But it's also just about feeling good. It's like, not making a noise when you sit down or stand up.
I mean, you say that I'm too young to be doing biohacking. I'm telling you now, the way my back is feeling at the moment.
Yeah, but you just had a baby. You're just suddenly carrying something around.
It is just, it's amazing the weight of a 10-month-old boy.
Yeah, no. Well, it's like, I mean, one of the things that Peter Attia is an exponent of is what they call rucking, where you walk with a weighted rucksack on. That's basically a baby.
Yeah. Madness.
10 kilos in a rucksack.
You've just proven to me that
mushrooms are okay.
I'm going to say that I can start venturing down the mushroom route.
Yes.
But they're going to have to be kind of cooked in or I'm going to have it in this sort of way.
And I'm going to give you that pickled mushroom
Please
recipe.
do. I'll do it.
It's a Gennaro Contaldo recipe from because he was one of the first people I ever worked with.
I love him. But this actually nicely, this would be something that I would never have on a pizza. Mm-hmm. What would you never have on a pizza?
Barbecue chicken.
Oh,
I think fowl on a pizza is a tough one.
Yeah.
I think it's tough.
Yeah. What's your favourite pizza?
Actually, I always come back to the margherita.
You just like nice.
As I always say, if you can't cook a margherita, you shouldn't be cooking pizza.
Absolutely. If you could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
I think it'd still be my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do miss him.
Yeah.
And my mum, who I lost last year.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
But because it's weird being orphaned at 54, nearly 55. You suddenly go, oh God, I've got to be an adult now. I'm the adult now. Damn it. I wasn't ready.
I'm top of the food chain now.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah. I don't think you're ever ready.
No, you're never ready.
No.
It's like, as you've discovered, becoming a parent, you're never ready for that. And never ready for when they start to leave, as he is now. Harry's 18. He's forging his own path now. Just be Susan and I, like two little old people. Sitting in a small cabin in the woods.
Eating simplicity and biohacking.
Biohacking. Yeah, in an ice bath. I do that every morning.
Do you?
Yeah, but not as a replacement for a personality, which a lot of people do that for.
I think we're going to end right there.
An ice bath. Really? Doesn't make you interesting.
What was your name?
Exactly.
Mark, it's always a pleasure being with you. Thank you for the pizzas. I'm so happy that we could commemorate our 5-year anniversary back in the same place.
That's been 5 years. I blinked.
But we're going to be back here in 5 years.
Yes.
We'll probably have robots serving us or something. I don't know where we'll be. But
you'll have 8 children.
You bloody wish, mate. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.